Here I am again on my sofa, and today I have got the most fabulous person with me. His name is Jaspal Dhani. We used to know each other many years ago, maybe 20 years ago or something like that, in wheelchair basketball. We didn't see each other for a long time. Recently met up with him just a few weeks ago at a game that I went to see, and he told me about something he's doing right now. It's so amazing. I had to invite him onto the sofa to tell us all about it. So welcome, Jaspal, and lovely to see you here.
Thank you for having me on your sofa, Sam.
You are welcome. And please tell us what inspired you into this latest project of yours that you're going to talk about.
Well, first of all, can I just say how great it is to touch base with you and be part of this amazing experience with yourself. So, yeah, as I said, thank you for having me here. Yeah, but
welcome.
You know, my project, Sporting Inclusion, that's what you're asking about.
Yeah.
I guess the history behind that is really linked to my life journey. You know, where I've been for the last 45 years now, I guess. And as you know, I was born in India, and I came to the UK when I was 7 years of age. And I was very fortunate to have met some great people at the early stage of my life who introduced me to wheelchair basketball and a range of other sports. And really, you know, it's sort of taking part in the sports over the years that has made me, I believe, the person I am today, or certainly given me a lot of sort of the attributes and the confidence, etc. And you know, so having benefited from sports myself, I went on several years ago to set up my own club based in Kensington, and really kind of got inspiration from that to want to create something that where I feel I'm giving back to the community, you know, giving back something that I had benefited from, so that it can be passed on and benefit other people as well. And the real kind of turning point within that came when I went to India some 9 years ago, after 29 years of arriving in the UK, you know, and never been back to my country. And 9 years ago, I was fortunate enough to return to Delhi through my work, and I was totally sort of taken back. I fell in love with the country, you know, with the people, with the colours, the sounds, the whole kind of, you know, the aroma of the country really. And whilst I was there, I kind of noticed two things. I noticed the extremes of poverty and wealth, and I noticed the love of people as well, and particularly, you know, people that were or that are living in poverty, their willingness to give, you know, to others unconditionally, you know, and it's something that one doesn't witness very often or encounter very often, and it was really in that moment that I thought, you know, here I am in my country, you know, amongst disabled people as well, and I felt very kind of humbled and fortunate to find myself in England, in the UK, to have all the opportunities that I've been given, to benefit from that, to grow from those opportunities. Then I thought, you know, I want to contribute back here as well, you know, so that I can touch base, not just through the odd occasional visit, but where I could really link with the people and link with the country in a much more significant way that really impacts on the lives of disabled people as well, but really something that could, you know, change society's attitudes as well, or start to change society's attitudes to the way that disabled people were viewed in society. And it was at that moment that I thought about bringing disability sport to India. And that's not to say that's never been done before. You know, there have been a number of programs, particularly run by sort of American organisations, where they've gone into the community and maybe done one or two sports. But I kind of, you know, if I can refer to those as what I call parachute activities. You know, people come in, they do a piece of work, and they go back out again, and no one's ever to be seen again. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to really start sowing the seeds of something that will grow into something magnificent, that will be sustainable, that will continue to develop long after I've left. So last year there was another project I was involved in, and I was very fortunate to find myself in Andhra Pradesh, and where we delivered a 5-day wheelchair basketball workshop.
That's amazing.
And it was really awesome. And you know, so here we are in the middle of a town using an outdoor court that was loaned to us by the local police, and in temperatures of some 35 degrees Celsius. And so for 8 hours a day, for 5 days,
wow.
We had about 8 people in wheelchairs, some of them who've never used a wheelchair before, let alone played the sport before. And we watched them grow in the period of, the 5 days that we were there. And what was quite astonishing as a basketball coach myself, their growth that happened in the 5 days. Here, I've seen people take 6 months, to grow, in sport, in terms of developing their skills and understanding of the game. And these guys were so talented, so hungry, so enthusiastic. And what was really great? It kind of gave them a status. It created something for them where they weren't just seen as disabled people, or even sort of seen in a self-pitying kind of a way, but really gave them a chance to realise or develop a skill, to be part of something that they've never done before. And as we delivered these workshops, what I also noticed was how just simple activity like wheelchair basketball started changing people's perceptions about disabled people. So not just the participants themselves, but also people that were walking by. They stopped, they observed, that they wanted to join in. And there was one particular case of a guy that was operating an ice cream van, on a cycle. He first stopped to see how many ice creams he could sell to this group of people. And we helped him out by buying a few ice creams. But the interesting thing is that the next day he returned, and this time he came onto the court, picked up a basketball and started shooting himself. So how many other ways are there that you can get total strangers together, disabled people and non-disabled people together, sharing in something, which really kind of unites them, and that in itself starts to shift attitudes. So out of this experience, was when we gave birth to Sporting Inclusion, which is the organisation that I'm developing.
So it sounds like you've got a real engagement with the local community there, in something that they'd never witnessed before.
Absolutely, and there was another experience as well, where after those 5 days we flew to Chennai to run a one-day basketball workshop there as well. And it was really, I was really grateful to take 5 of the guys from Andhra Pradesh along with us to Chennai. And these 5 guys who, 5 days before, never done wheelchair basketball, some of them never sat in a wheelchair, as I said, they found themselves now coaching, these new participants in Chennai. They found themselves being, sort of the role models, ambassadors of the sport. And just for, for them to be able to do that, for many of them it was the first time that they were given something of value, to do. So they found themselves contributing to other people's lives. So they found themselves in a position where they were giving back, and not just seen as recipients, of handouts or of charity. So it was a real kind of meaningful participation for them as well.
So it's like you gave them more to their identity, really. So it's like, this is who you are, this is who you can be.
Absolutely, and it was real kind of creating a vision and a hope for their future as well, and even now, nearly sort of 6 months on from that project, I get messages, I get emails and Facebook messages from some of those participants, just sort of keeping in touch and saying, sir, when are you coming back to India? So when are you going to come and continue this project? So there's a real kind of sense of, as you say, community, but there's a lot of people whose minds have been opened. There's they're thinking about their future, they're thinking about how how they've changed as well. So it's a fascinating experience.
So how far along are you with this project in getting it embedded into the community as a whole?
We're in the pretty much at the infancy stages. As I said, this started off literally 6 months ago, and so we've got the name, Sporting Inclusion. We're going through registration to have ourselves registered as a community interest company. We're in talks with a number of organisations here in the UK and in India who are really interested in working with us, and we're busy looking for sponsors and funders to make this kind of dream become a reality. And but on the back of this as well, when a good thing happens, other people want to know, and they spread the word as well. So so the good thing that's happened is that we've now got interest from organisations in Nigeria and also Tanzania. So we're kind of branching out of India all of a sudden before we're even ready, I think. But I think it's just an illustration of how important what we are doing is for the wider community. So so we are at that point of developing those partnerships, developing the communication. We're putting in place our strategies on going back out to India this year. We're working with an organisation here in the UK who are interested in developing 6 wheelchair basketball teams in Bangalore.
Wow.
So we're kind of figuring out a model that will make that happen. And so really the idea is that we're going to create a success model here, let's say in Bangalore, and with that being successful, we can start to replicate that in other parts of the country. And I think eventually, we'd like to get the interest of the governing bodies, we'd like to get the interest of the government, who can really, participate alongside us to develop a sustainable model, and to really sort of start to showcase, disability sport and its benefits throughout India.
Yeah, that's just so powerful, really powerful.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And what sprung to mind there, as you were saying that last bit about getting the government involved and thing as a wider issue, there was a lot of talk in 2012 when we had the London Paralympics, and there was a whole thing about this is going to create a Paralympic legacy. What do you think? Do you think it really has left a Paralympic legacy in this country?
Here in the UK, I think it really depends on who you are talking to. I mean, one of the things that perhaps it hasn't done is benefited the everyday disabled person. I think their lives have really been untouched by the legacy. I think they had a 2 weeks of great entertainment where they felt connected to something, but in terms of their day-to-day lives, I think very little has changed for the 11 odd million disabled people in the UK. But equally, having said that, I know that there are many projects in place and many projects that are being initiated throughout the country to get more disabled people active, to get them into physical activity, to engage them in sport. So there is that kind of sense of legacy. But my God, it's a long, long road to tread, and it's a very steep mountain, to climb as well. But I can tell you, people have been inspired along the way, and I think the kind of the media coverage that we created in the UK has been unrivaled, and I think it will be unrivaled for a very long time. And certainly, through the work I've been doing in India, I've used the kind of, the London Paralympic highlights, the video, to showcase what we had achieved in London. And I can tell you, people absolutely, by the time the video finishes, they stand up and they applaud. So it does motivate people, when you can take those kind of lessons and you take them to people, it can motivate people. But I don't think the kind of the legacy has quite been perhaps what we wanted it to be. And now, 2 years on, I don't know how many people are really thinking about the Paralympics and how it benefited anyone, and maybe even some of the athletes, who became household names for that 2 weeks or maybe 2 months. I think if you went back out into the public now and said, who was your favourite Paralympian athlete, I think some people would have difficulty remembering some of the names, really. So it was good. It was good. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it quite got to the mark where the energy could have been sustained and where the benefit would have filtered out into the wider disabled community.
I mean, certainly from my point of view as an able-bodied person, that's always had that connection with Paralympic sport and that's promoted it and enjoyed it for a long, long time. And spoke to other people about it, and they had no idea what I was talking about. I think from that perspective, it's created a legacy amongst a wider region of able-bodied people who really get where I'm coming from now, and say, oh yeah, I can really understand why you love that sport. But I do think, yeah, definitely 2 years on, they're not talking about it. They're not sort of wanting to go and watch a game and stuff like that. And also a thing that I wonder is about the transport system. You know, this bugs me, even not as a wheelchair user, that one of the things that the Paralympic legacy was supposed to do was to improve our transport system, which it did for 3 weeks. And then they took the ramps away and all the other things away. And I think that's really something that, you know, they need to think about as a broader thing, you know.
It is a shame, isn't it? That, you know, they can... I think it illustrates that the solutions are there. Maybe the will isn't quite there. And if they can make it happen for, you know, a month during the Olympics and the Paralympics, then you kind of question, well, why can't that solution remain in place?
Absolutely.
So it is a shame. It is a shame.
It really is. Although, you know, it has given a wider sort of view of disability to a wider broader of people.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a great thing about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
as I said, you know, with my club in London, we still get, you know, families and young disabled people, you know, coming to the club who want to participate, who want to try out this, you know, this great sport, wheelchair basketball, and I think, you know, so as I said, I think for some people it did create that paradigm shift. But unfortunately, it didn't shift everyone's paradigm. You know,
absolutely. But if you can take a small piece of that into your project and take that to India, that would be a beautiful thing.
Look, you know, like the saying, mighty oak trees grow from a small seed. You know, and I really do believe in that. You know, of just trying to create something to, you know, that spark, and just, you know, sort of flaming it into a fire. You never know who is going to reach out to. You never know whose lives is going to warm, whose lives is going to touch. But you know, for me, it's really about, you know, there is kind of a personal and a selfish reason in it as well. And my personal and selfish reason is that I love the feeling of, you know, giving. I love to witness that hope come alive in someone's eye. I love that sense of the energy, that the possibility that becomes created, you know, and I love that. So there is kind of a self gratification in there, but I like to think it's a sense of gratification that doesn't just benefit me. You know, it's out there, and you know, what we're trying to do here as well is create leaders, and again, something that sport allows, you know, to happen, is create leaders, people that can continue to carry the flag, and, you know, and it doesn't have to be in sport. You know, don't get, you know, it's much wider than that. If you can, you know, just motivate someone to challenge themselves, to just do something that they've never dreamed about doing before, never hoped of doing before, and they can have that experience, it opens up the parachute in your mind. You know, it gives, if you can start to create those kind of possibilities that, you know, I can work, I can travel, I can become a mother or a father. You know, I just want to have the ordinary life. I don't even need an extraordinary life. Yeah, that would be great, but you know, extraordinary life would be, you know, fantastic. But it gives people, as I say, that impetus, you know, to really just grab what they want to achieve. You know, whether it's just a 9-to-5 job or become the entrepreneurs, whether it's to become sports coaches or become a Paralympic athlete, or whether it's just saying, you know what, I just want a family of my own, and now I can see how that's going to be possible because I've got the confidence to do that.
That's amazing. That's just wonderful stuff, and it'll all sort of lead on from that one little thing that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think also what is great is that, you know, I'm not doing this on my own. There are some great people that I'm working with, some great partners that I'm working with as well, and it's not really my project. It is a project that is shared by so many other people as well.
So if people wanted to find out, or they wanted to find out about, you know, the organisation or how they could help you or anything like that, how would they do that?
Well, very soon they'll be able to do it through our website. It's going to be called sportinginclusion.org. We're just developing that, so it will be live hopefully very, very soon. They can reach me through you as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. But people, I can't. People can easily find me out on the web. All they've got to do is put my name into Google and press return and pop, so.
Yeah. That's amazing. The amazing wonders of technology.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. It's been an absolute blessing.
My pleasure.
Yes.
To you too.
Thank you, everyone. Another beautiful conversation with Jaspal Dhani, and see you again soon. Bye.